next story takes us out to New York City, as we're being told they are in the midst of a migrant crisis. This as asylum seekers are making their way to the Big Apple in record numbers.
Sitting outside on a warm spring night, neighbors say the influx of migrants in Clinton Hill is overwhelming.
Involving unhygienic conditions.
Another almost 200 Channel migrants across the English Channel.
Cartels are looking at where it is most likely to get in for the illegal migrants.
This is going to take a belt. That's a weapon. And to use it around somebody's neck.
But you gotta go back. I mean, it's the only way.
You gotta go home. Smart up.
How you doing, guys? Welcome back to Coffee and Juice. So if it's your first time tuning into the channel, I live in between Thailand and America. So I do a 6-month hit in Southeast Asia, and then I go back for 6 months. Before I get into the video, I want to thank everybody who, subscribe to the channel. I'm at 1,000 or better, so I appreciate your support. And going forward, hopefully I can bring you some really good content. And like I always say, I hope you get something out of it. So I called the reverse Uno regarding me going back to America. The only problem is that whenever I go back and forth, it always seems that there's a dramatic change in the landscape. So as you can see by the introduction, exponentially every time I go back, what happens is that it seems to get worse. And to be even more honest with you, if I didn't have family that I'm entrusted to take care of, I would not be going back to America, and more specifically, I wouldn't be going back to New York. So now, you see the title regarding Migrant Mania. I don't know what I'm going to name it yet, but so now the question is that it's not just in America where this has happened. That's why I kind of gave you excerpts from, London, Ireland, Australia. I mean, it doesn't matter where you go around the globe. It seems that it's happening everywhere. So now the question is, why is it happening? Why is there an influx at this border, that border? And sometimes as an American, you could be a little myopic, meaning that you really think that, hey, it's only happening to us. But, I'm a guy who's done some traveling and I talk to a lot of people. Whatever you're feeling, depending on which way you lean, someone somewhere else is feeling exactly the same way. So now if we get back to the fact of what's my hypothesis, and of course this is for entertainment purposes only, is why is this happening? Is there a plan that's behind it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to try to intelligently present an argument / conversation with you guys. And of course, I like when you guys weigh in, good, bad, or indifferent. So stick around and let's break it down. So I guess the first prong on the list, or, one hypothesis could be, if you go and you look around at the current generation of kids / young adults, and especially after the cough, nobody really wants to work anymore. There's a whole different outlook about getting out there, making money, and actually contributing to society. So one of the theories behind the influx globally regarding this migrant situation, probably migrant will get me somehow demonetized, I'll let you know, is remember there's people that sit very high. And if the wheels stop turning, they stop making money. And no matter what conversation you think we're having about anything in life, it would always revolve around money. Because, there's the argument, not to get too off track, that if you lean left or right, it's really the same bird, because it always goes back to power, control, and money, right? And it comes down to who really wants to hold the scepter, which means you'd be able to hold the most contracts, which means you'd be able to gain the most money. But anyway, let's stay on the workforce depletion hypothesis. So now Nobody wants to work, right? So now the people up at the top, the Wizard of Oz, whoever's behind the curtain, they sit down in a room and they say, you know what? How are we going to keep making money if we don't have worker drones to put in, to put into work? That's why you see, it's not just technology. That's why you see such a strong push or development for artificial intelligence, because the clairvoyance when it comes to money is that they say, well, nobody wants to work, so we have to implement other ideas to keep the money flowing. So the first prong on the list on why borders are being crossed haphazardly, and it seems like very casual, nobody cares, is because number one, nobody wants to work and the money's got to keep on flowing. So let's get into the second thing. It's a divide and conquer mentality, meaning this kind of happened with the Foreign Legion too, is that if you divide or delineate different groups, so now you have this group that's kind of like the indigenous, let's say, of the US, and then you have all these other people from all other parts of the world. Eventually what you're going to have is you're going to have infighting. Now, the question is, if you're sitting high on the hog, why would you want that? Well, why you would want infighting or divide and conquer mentality is that while the low-level drones are squabbling over scraps and this and that, you could probably walk out the back door with a lot of money, and due to the fact that everybody's distracted, nobody would really see it happen. They're distracted by A, B, and C, etc. So now the divide and conquer mentality is a secondary hypothesis regarding on why there's such an influx currently or a demand regarding this whole entry or migrant situation. So now when we talk about the third thing, let's do it this way. So the third prong on the list regarding this, very loose hypothesis is that, I'll try to give it to you in Brooklyn terms. You're my boy, right? So if you're my boy, I want to take care of you. And then once again, if I take care of you, you're going to take care of me. So now all of a sudden, if I give you access to the club or the border, right? When it's my time for you to throw a ticket in a box or pull a lever, you're probably going to pull that lever for me because I took care of you. I said, here you go, cuz. Here's a phone. Here's a little money in your pocket. Oh, you never seen the Mets before? Even though the Mets are terrible. You know what? I'm going to give you some tickets for you and your family. So now all of a sudden, November or December or wherever things happen all over the world, you're going to say, you know what? That's my guy. He took care of me. And you couldn't care about policies or agendas because at the end of the day, especially in this day and age, is that it's all about me and it's my agenda that counts first as opposed to country first. So now, with all these things in mind, there's probably more to the topic. But if we had to basically loosely hypothesize, and of course, why this is coming up is I got to go back home. And like I said prior, we can obviously do some more videos before I do go back home within about a month. Just so you know, if you're stuck around this long, prior law enforcement, tactical trainer. That's why I go into the realms of protecting yourself, right? Is that crime is through the roof. Now, when it comes to this migrant situation, a little inside information for you. So now you've watched like a special victims unit kind of show. So the influx, unbeknownst to you, I don't care if I tell you I don't, is that I know people in these units. There's something called the stranger ape. Ape, right? There's a stranger ape that occurs. And most of them are occurring from the illegal entry people. So now you have crime, you have people fighting for jobs, et cetera, et cetera. So with all these things in mind, do I want to go back? Not really. Do I have to go back? Yes. And when I go back, hopefully, I'm going to hit you up with some good content I'm going to be living out of a customized van, living a minimalist lifestyle, a very light footprint in certain regions. And all because, if you remember, during certain events in the world, that it could become a powder keg in your town very quickly. Now, if you're held down with a house, this sounds like a very strange mentality, but I might have a different life than you. Maybe you will agree or you'll disagree. But if you have if you're rooted into a community and within, a certain amount of time, you can't pick up and just go, you may be late. Okay. So you may be late. And then once again, so you may be late. And with all these things being said, it may be too late for you to get out. All right. So coffee and juice, hopefully got something out of it. Escape from New York or escape from Thailand.
You have to do the right thing. You have to go home to the family. You understand? You gotta go home. Okay? Look at me.